Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is a great Wednesday evening here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I'm broadcasting to you from Stephen Zimmer. And joining me in just a few moments will be the vivacious, the loquacious, and the audacious Holly Phillippe. And I can't wait for tonight's show because we have one of our all-time favorite people and favorite guests coming up tonight. Yes, a returning guest and one that just is amazing. So yes, we're going to have just a few minutes of catching up and some news and announcements and all that kind of good stuff, and recognizing the folks that brought you tonight's show, and then we will get underway with a great episode, and you're going to learn about a great event coming up at the end of this month, as well as catching up on a great creative talent. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think Holly is on the phone with me. So, or on the air, I should say. On the air.
I, I
Holly,
am here.
you are here. All right.
Get back.
In from Indiana.
I have been in
She had a road trip.
Indiana for 6 days. I did
Yes.
earlier across the Floody River, and let me tell you, people, it's still. I had to go this back way down the hills and hollers in Indiana to get to an because I couldn't go my regular route into Aurora, Indiana, because part of it's still under. Mm.
Yeah, we got you cutting out just a little bit there, Holly. Just a little bit
I
choppy on your
think
connection,
I'm
just so you
gonna
know.
leave and come back because I'm getting this
Yeah,
feedback.
reset. Yeah, reset that real quick.
Okay.
And I do want to give a shout out to the folks coming in the chat room, which is working and live. And of course, we always take comments and questions from there. And I see award winning screenwriter and author Carol Pre-Flattish and author LJ Mack among those coming into the chat room. And congrats to Carol on some new, well, like I said, about every week it seems like she's getting a finalist position with with one of her screenplays, or she's winning an award. I mean, she is truly on a roll. So I tell you what, so we're going to be getting Holly back here in just a moment. There's Holly.
Does that
Let's see if
sound
this is
better?
connections. Yes, there we go.
You sound
I think that
was a weird thing. No, I was talking about the flooding. I said, I had a different room because part of Aurora, Indiana is still underwater. So,
yep. Yeah, it's been definitely a mess in our region, and yeah, weather's just been awful, and flooding and tornadoes and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, and that yeah, we had quite the adventure last. I believe it was last week, wasn't it? Yeah, I guess it
yeah.
was last week that we had the rotational area of the tornado pass directly over our home. Thankfully, that did not form a actual tornado, but they had the sirens and the take to shelter warnings and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, I had to stay upstairs longer than I would have probably liked, because I had to make sure I got our lovely little Vicky out, because she had gotten under the bed and got a little spooked, and so I got Vicky out finally and carried her downstairs to where everybody else was. So yeah, that was a little dicey, but we're here, and and
We are.
we are here, and we do have some good news for you tonight. Last week has been, we haven't made a lot of new additions, but we do have a couple of new panelists to tell you about, and then we have breaking news that is going out
Yes.
tomorrow. That will be
Fresh
going
news.
out. That should be going out publicly tomorrow or at the latest Friday, but you're going to get the news tonight because you're listening to the Star Chamber Show. So first, let me say that we welcomed two first-time panelists to Imaginarium, and one is coming all the way from Iowa, and that will be T.R. Benjamin. And I'm really curious to talk to T.R. because he is an expert in mechanical keyboards and has a workshop about why mechanical keyboards can help you become a better writer. And he has a whole presentation about it. I personally use a mechanical keyboard. I love them. I prefer them. And so I definitely want to catch up with him because I want to find out the science behind it, if there is some. But he's definitely an expert in that area, and so it's gonna be real fun to have him aboard. And then we also have author Zach Sherman coming to Imaginarium for the first time as a panelist. And if you wanted to be a vendor, do hurry, because we're down to like one spot in Main Expo Hall, and I think two in Creatives Alley, and then that's it. You just have to wait till next year, or hope that somebody has a schedule change and one becomes available, because they are about to sell out. And then last but not least, please do consider becoming a patron. And that's not Patreon. It's a one-time thing, but one of our individual patron sponsorships. Or if you want to become a main sponsor, we've got several options, and even options for those who may not be able to come here in person, but it still gives you the full sponsor presence. But we got some good ones, and it really would help right now because we're definitely wanting to get the word out. And part of what we're wanting to get the word out involves our next announcement, which actually broke minutes before the show
Yes.
officially. We knew it was this afternoon that it was pretty much confirmed, but we are happy to tell you we have a new Imaginator guest, and I couldn't be more excited about this. Um, our we will have coming to Imaginarium, and she is a top tier literary agent, and it's going to be fantastic because she has already indicated that she's going to give a full workshop called "Ask an Agent Anything." I think is what the title is,
Yes.
and so people can come and ask everything you ever want to know about the world of agents, querying agents, all that kind of stuff. And then she also indicated that she will, in fact, be hosting pitch sessions at Imaginarium uh, for our attendees. So we are really excited about that. So yeah, we have a major literary agent coming to Imaginarium as an Imaginator guest, Cherry Weiner, and we are really stoked to have her. And yeah, she works with some really top tier clients. So she definitely knows her stuff and knows the business and gets things done. Yeah, very exciting news. But we will be putting out all the information on that hopefully by sometime tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it should be up on the website by Friday. But yeah, you can take that is confirmed. It is happening. So we wanted to share a. How's that, Holly? Late news, right?
That is great. And she is friends with our guest of honor, Heather Graham. Longtime friend, she says.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
she knows Heather, and she said she always does her New Orleans workshops when Heather does her things down there.
fantastic. That's
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 cool.
something that's something I didn't know. Holly's I know Holly's been talking to Cherry, so yeah, that's awesome. Well, see, it's a small world. I tell you what,
And
everything
it's so cool because
it really
she
is.
actually grew up. She grew up in Australia,
Yeah,
so she's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah,
From what
a
we've
lot of
been
fun.
told and from what I've seen, she seems like she's going to be a lot of fun. She's very approachable. She loves to take questions. Um,
Mhm.
and she'll answer anything for you. And then on Sunday of the con, I'll have all this wrote up by tomorrow, but Sunday she's going to do a roundup, wrapping everything up, and she might even take some pictures.
No, she did say that. Yeah, I did see that in the
Uh
letter
huh.
that she is going to do a pitch session, and
Yeah.
I think, and like I said, don't quote me on this exactly yet, but I think what she was saying was she'll do an official pitch session early in the convention, and then she will do an encore one at the end, like the roundup kind of
Well,
thing. So
that's her workshop. Ask an
I
agent
thought,
anything, and
okay,
then she's going to do that
that's
roundup. But yeah, she definitely is talking about doing the pitch too, if I would
mhm.
like her to. And yeah, definitely, I'm going to add that in. So I'll have all
So
this worked up tomorrow.
yeah, we'll get the official details for you on the site. We'll get a full announcement. Help us get the word out because this is very good for Imaginarium for sure. We've been really wanting to have a major literary agent as one of our headline guests for a little bit, and it's
And
happening. It's
you
happening.
know what's cool? She's been an agent since 1977. So this
Yeah,
lady has seen a lot of stuff. And so
yeah.
she is very educated in the field, the business. She's seen the ups and downs, twists and turns. She knows the ins
Changes.
and
Yeah.
outs.
And as we all know, the publishing world changes by the minute, so she's seen it all. So, yeah, but I am really excited about this. So, but yeah, just to keep things on track, I'm going to go over to the two folks that brought us tonight's show, so that we can move on to our stellar guest of the evening. I wish it was a visual show tonight because I would, in fact, have fireworks set off as this guest came out to join us for sure. But so you'll just have to imagine that when we get to our intro. But tonight's sponsors are Ren Garcia, and Sandy Lender, the genre blender. So, yes, we got two of those fine folks that definitely have helped support the Star Chamber show through and through. And speaking of people that support the show, just want to give a quick shout out to Moon D.L. Hearn, who is I see is back in the chat room. Good to see you again, Moon. And of course, Sako and the Moon podcast. Highly recommend it. What a cool show. All right, so here's a little bit from. We'll first go with Ren, and he'll ask the famous question.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Yeah, of course
Yes,
we are, Ren. And you
yes,
better
we
be
are.
coming this summer because you aren't going
That's
to want to
right.
miss our Imaginator guest that we just announced.
Gonna have to
or
hunt
any
you
yes,
down.
yes, we are. Thank you, Ren. And now we're going to go over to Sandy Lender, the genre blender. And let me tell you, the book she's talking about in this is fantastic and can apply to everybody listening. Great motivational nonfiction release. Here we go.
Are you a creative person working a 9-to-5 job to survive? Let's look at how to keep your energy and joy alive with the new motivational business book, Capture Your Dream, from author Sandy Lender. In Capture Your Dream, Sandy offers stories, lessons, inspiration, SWOT analysis, goal stacking strategies, and more to help you map your plan to achieve a dream job or side hustle. As a creative herself, Sandy knows it takes compromise and commitment to keep the day job to survive while chasing the dream to thrive. Assess your dragon score. Learn more about Capture Your Dream at AuthorSandyLender.com.
And thank you, Sandy Lender. And I hope you're listening tonight. She is so busy, always getting great stuff done. And sort of like our guest that's coming up, always busy and getting stuff done. And so, yes, without further ado, tonight's guest is a return to the Star Chamber show, and definitely one of our favorites on the show, and also at the Imaginarium convention, where she is part of our inaugural inductee class of the Imagination Hall of Fame. And she has written more than 50 novels, folks, and sold over 1 million copies of her books worldwide. And if that's not enough, she is also the president of the Bluegrass Writers Coalition, who put on the great Conference of Writers. And if that's not enough, in January of 2025, her book Guilty Secrets was produced as a feature film that is now streaming on Lifetime under the Lies We Bury title. So I welcome on to the show once again the one, the only Virginia Smith. There we go.
Oh my gosh. You make me tired just listening to all that stuff.
well, well, you stay busy. My God, it's incredible. I mean, not just with your work, but even following your Facebook page is a delight because you have so many cool adventures. I mean, you're always doing great work and book releases and movies and all kinds of fun stuff. And then your life is just awesome. I mean, it's fun watching all your little forays and adventures and trips. You are
And chickens. First
And
of all,
chickens. Oh my gosh, yeah.
how are the girls?
Okay, the girl. Oh, so we had a tragedy yesterday. It was
Oh
terrible.
no.
I know. So we got a hobby farm, just a small farm, and we started out with we have eight hens and a rooster, and so we're getting eggs all the time, and everybody's going woohoo yay and we're going yoo-hoo yay because those things are expensive right now. But then we decided that wasn't enough because somebody called it chicken math. Suddenly everything explodes. It's like the numbers just explode exponentially because we decided we didn't have enough chickens. So then we went and got a dozen little babies, and they grew up, and they're now out. Our chickens free range, so they're out running around all over the place. And then one of we have our first newborn, and one of our little eggs hatched.
Oh,
I
they
know. And
did.
so for the little.
Oh,
I know it's so, and this tiny little thing, and so you leave them under, leave them in the nesting box for a couple of days, but then you have to put them under heat lights, and they have to learn how to eat on their own and stuff like this. Well, I didn't want him to be alone. Her, we hope she's a she. We didn't want her to be alone. So I sent Brad out to Tractor Supply, and he came back with 6 more babies. And so now we've got 7 babies. You can't have a baby. So anyway, but our big tragedy was we've got the 12, and 6 of them are they're called Black Jersey Giants, and 6 of them are light Brahmas. Those are the breeds of. I'm learning all about chicken breeds, you guys. It's
yes,
got
yes.
to come out in a book someday. But anyway, so we call them the black and whites. Just generically, they're called the black and
Oh,
whites because, and it's so funny because they do travel as a herd. I mean, they are a flock among
oh yeah,
themselves. And then we
yeah,
have
they
the
are.
other ones, and they all stay by themselves. So I mean, it's really funny that they run around all over the place. But Brad and I actually celebrated our 1-year anniversary of getting engaged. We were engaged
Hmm.
during the total eclipse. And that the 1-year anniversary was yesterday. And so we drove.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank
Correct.
you. Thank you. We drove back to Columbus, Indiana, which is where we had been when he proposed during the eclipse. And when we got home last night, one of the black and whites is gone. And we have no idea.
Oh
We have
no.
searched. I know. Well, we went in the coop, and there's only 11 of them, on all of 9 of the others, and then all the
Uh,
babies are okay. They're under the lights. We have looked everywhere, and I have no idea what happened because
do
there's
Oh,
you
no
geez.
sign.
reckon? Do you have? I wonder if it was like a fox or
Well,
a
usually
raccoon.
we haven't had any predators at all since we got the chicken. So we're pretty
Okay.
lucky in that we had a neighbor's bird dogs that broke into the coop and killed 2 of our roosters when we first got them.
Oh
But yeah,
dear.
it was devastating. That was that was before Christmas, right after we got them.
Oh, wow.
But natural predators, we haven't had any at all. But we did once see a hawk that was up in a
Yep.
Aha.
tree. Yeah.
There you
And
Yeah.
go.
so, but we have never seen the hawk again. But we looked all over the farm. We haven't. If there's a
Can't find them.
predator, you'll usually find feathers or
Feathers
some
or something.
sign,
Yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
You see
a
something.
sign. We've seen nothing. So I
Weird.
mean, there's one of 2 possibilities. Either she got outside the fence and maybe
Lost.
ran away and got lost or whatever,
Yeah.
or a hawk got her. Because if a hawk got her, then it would just pick her up and take her away, and we wouldn't miss it.
Right, right.
So anyway,
Well,
yeah,
or
we're
she may show back up. She never
Mhm.
knows. She may show back up too.
well. I hope so, but the other ones,
You never know.
they're chickens. They're chickens. They don't seem to care or notice,
I
but
know.
we do.
I
Anyway,
know. You get
I
attached
am
to the
having
little burgers.
I'm having such fun with the chickens. You just can't imagine. The really funny, it isn't it funny how sometimes life mimics fiction? One
Oh,
of
Yes.
yes.
one of my books that I turned in, I think I turned it in to the publisher. It's been a year and a half, and it's the first book in a series that's it's a direct to consumer book club publisher, and so they haven't brought it out, but they contracted with me to write the first book in a series about a woman who inherits a hobby farm. And so
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
can you? I mean,
Ah,
this is like a year. Well, the contract was like 2 years ago, so I mean, this was so not ever on my radar. But I did all kinds of research about hobby farms and chickens and raising honeybees. So we don't have bees yet.
Nice.
But you know what? But isn't it really funny that then, a year and a half later, after I turned that book in, we buy a farm? It's
That's
just
amazing.
crazy.
that
I
is
know. I
On,
love it.
great.
on the subject of bees, you need to definitely give a call to Abigail Keem, the author
Yes.
from
Oh,
here in
okay.
Kentucky, because
She's a master beekeeper, man.
she's
Yeah.
an award, like a national award winning beekeeper. Yeah,
No
Yes.
she's
kidding.
yeah
Yes.
she got lucky recently too. That flooding came up near her property, and she got
But it
Oh,
didn't hurt the
it
bees.
worked out. Didn't work. It worked out fine though. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
for
But yeah,
some
you
reason
definitely
that
need to
name
talk to
that
her.
name sounds familiar. I wonder if we're
Yeah,
Oh,
connected
you
on
would know
social
Miss
media or something.
Abigail.
Yeah.
you
I think
yeah,
she's
you've
it. Well,
encountered her.
she just
Yeah.
entered. I'll tell you, she just entered a book cover for
Aha.
the. That's
Aha.
it.
For the
That's it.
Bluegrass Writers Coalition.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Because
where I know.
I just seen the cover. She entered it and
Oh, okay.
posted about it today. I call her Miss Abigail. People call her
Yeah.
Gail, but that's Miss Abigail to me because
Oh,
she's,
okay.
this little dainty, nice Kentuckian woman with
I
with
did not know
that
she
gets
kept
rattled up.
bees. That's
She
so
loves
Oh yeah.
funny.
bees.
Be
She loves
expert.
bees.
Yeah. And yeah, she
Yeah.
Wow.
does the mystery series where she titles them like "Death by Bourbon," "Death by this," and "Death by."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You've seen it.
She's got
You've
I
seen her
think
around.
she had doesn't she have 2 books on or book covers on our current book cover contest?
I
I
know she's got
Probably.
at
think.
least
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
So
she's
what we're
yeah.
talking about is Bluegrass Writers Coalition just launched a book cover contest. It's the first time we've ever done this, but we just launched and opened voting. So you can go to anybody that's listening, you can go to bluegrasswriterscoalition.com and look under events, and it'll take you to all of the covers that have been entered, and you can vote on your favorite. And we have 2 categories. One is children's books, and there's only 5 entries of that, but then there's I think 16 in books that are for readers that are over 6th
Gotcha.
grade. And so you can vote for each one, and the top winner in each of those categories at our conference of writers, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, we'll announce the winners, and it's $50 to each of those entries. So
Very
help.
cool.
And
Yeah,
you have to be a member, correct?
you had to be a member to enter your book cover, but you do not have to be a member to vote. We want anybody to vote. And,
Okay.
Very cool.
okay, let's face it, the whole reason that I came up with this, well, I came up and I pitched it to the BWC officers, and they agreed, was it gives us an opportunity to, number one, celebrate books that have come out that have been written by Bluegrass Writers Coalition members, and it gives us an opportunity to like post this on social media and spread the word and get people looking at these covers of these awesome books. So yeah,
Mhm.
everybody can vote. I encourage everybody to vote. Last time I checked, we launched the contest, and I posted on social media about, you can go to this link and look at the covers and then vote for it. And the next morning I checked it, and we had over 150 votes already, which is great.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
really
that is
cool.
great.
And there's some
Fantastic.
really pretty covers on there. I've got a
Yeah, I'm in
couple of
there
covers
looking
on
now.
there, but I voted, but I did not vote for my own. There's some really cool covers. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the coalition has some amazing writers, obviously. So,
we
yeah,
really
that's
do.
not a
Yeah.
surprise. Yeah, that's not a surprise. And well, I mean, there's the obvious segue. I mean, you brought up the conference of writers and the fourth annual. Congratulations on that is
Thank
coming
you.
up here on the end of April. So yeah, let's get into that a little bit.
I am so excited about this one because, we launched the Conference of Writers, obviously 4 years ago, and we have always had it in Frankfort at the Frankfort Country Club. And last year we were bursting at the seams because it's gotten
Hmm.
bigger and bigger and bigger, and it is a small local conference. It's nothing along the lines of the Imaginarium, because you guys rock, and you have been
Well,
doing it for such a long time, but we were really thrilled that last year we had, I think it was 91 attendees, which we were bursting at the seams at the country club. So this year, our new venue is Kentucky State University's Research and Development Farm. Beautiful, beautiful facility, and
mm,
we're hoping, we'll definitely exceed 100 attendees, but we're hoping for even more than that. But we've got some amazing speakers and workshops. We've got Kentucky. He's kind of a Kentucky hero guy himself, Steve Flaherty. He's the author of the Kentucky, what's it called? The Kentucky's Everyday Hero series. And, he's been on television. He interviews people. He's going to teach a workshop on biographies and interviewing to write biographies. And he's a really cool guy. Heather Henson is she's an award-winning author for children's books, or books for younger readers, not just picture books, but also young adult books. And she wrote That Book Woman, which they made into a play, and it was put on last summer at Pioneer Playhouse. It just sold out crowds every night. It was just, she's really, really good. I love Heather. And then who else do we have? Oh, we have Tony Acree. And he's somebody that, I met at the Imaginarium. So he's going to come and he's going to talk about screenwriting, which is so cool. And I have a big interest in that recently. And he's also, because he is an editor of what is his Dark Harbor Pictures is producing a couple of his films, but he's also an editor, and so he is going to be taking private appointments if anybody wants to talk to him about what Hydro Publications is looking for and so on. And we have Claudia Love Mayer. She is not only a fiction writer and a memoirist, but she is the coordinator for Kentucky Black Writers Collaborative. She's going to teach a session. And we have Katerina Stoikova. She is a poet, and she's also the acquisition editor of Accents Publishing. And so she's going to teach a session on putting together a poetry collection and taking private appointments, so pitch sessions. We have Terry Whalen. Now, he's not from Kentucky. He actually lives in California, but he is an acquisition editor that has been in the industry for multiple publishers for decades. I mean, a long time. He right now works for the hybrid publisher, Morgan James Publishing, which is one of the top 5 hybrids in the world. Publishers Weekly is always talking about it. And he's flying in from California. So he's going to do the keynote address, and he's also taking pitch sessions. And we have, it goes on and on. We have a literary agent. Jackie Lipton is the senior literary agent at the Tobias Literary Agency, which is based out of New York. And, they have offices all over the US, and I think even one in Europe. And she's going to be there teaching a session on copyrights for authors. So, and she's taking pitch sessions. And then finally, the one that I'm most excited about is we have the very wonderful, awesome Steven Zimmer, who is going to be, I know, he is going to be, you are going to be there, and going to be taking sessions, private appointments to talk to anybody about, editing, their editing needs. You're going to be representing 7 Star Press. You're also going to be having a table with your books in the conference bookstore. So I'm super excited that you are going to be joining us. That'll be great.
And that's where Miss Holly will be sitting.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
At the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to because this area mentoring is I can address a lot of things at this point in my career as far as they're wanting to talk to me about paths of publishing, or they're wanting to talk to me about editing and the world of editors and all that kind of thing, or pretty much
writing,
anything.
anything.
Because I also author coach as well, so they could talk to me about anything in that area. But it's that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing those sessions. So hopefully I'll be busy.
I hope. I'm watching the sign-up sheets, and you do have a list of people that want to talk to you.
Fantastic.
But there are still openings. Actually, everyone we've got 4 editors and 1 literary agent that are taking private appointments, and there are still openings for every one of you. So, still time for people to sign up for the conference and sign up for a private appointment. The conference is being held the last Saturday of April, so April 26th. And, it's a one day that I tell you, it is jam-packed. It is full of activities and just fun stuff. It really is. Don't you think it's just fun hanging out with other writers? I just love it. Yeah.
It's great.
I've been to 2, and I can say without question, the energy is just so positive and so good. And it's any genre of writer will feel welcome, and it's first class. And I mean that in every sense of the word. The kind of presentations that happen there, Everything about it, everything about how it's executed, and the hospitality is just first class. I mean, it's really a top notch writing conference.
Well,
Highly
thank you.
recommend it. Yeah,
Thank
and the
you. We
price
have
is
worked.
great.
And
Yeah.
I've learned something myself every time that I've attended.
Good.
Mhm.
Wonderful. I love hearing that.
Yeah,
It
the
is,
price is not bad either. It's only 85 for registration. I mean, for
Yeah.
writing conferences, that's
And I
fantastic.
mean, you are going to learn something. I guarantee you're going to learn
Mhm.
something, and you can ask the questions that you wanted to ask. You've got the people right there on site that are willing, open books, man,
yeah.
willing
Mhm.
to tell you anything. So, yeah, there's your
Oh,
chance,
thank you. And that $85 includes a catered lunch. Before, when we were at
which
the
is always good.
well,
Oh
at
yeah.
the country club, of course, the food was out of this world, and so we were like, okay, now we're at the research farm. With the facility is beautiful, but we had to find our own caterer, and so
Mhm.
we're like, oh, how are we going to live up to the country club? But we have contracted with you all from Lexington. You may be familiar with Aunt B's Catering.
I know who
Aunt
they
And
are. Yep.
Oh
Mhm. I
yeah,
know.
yes,
yeah. Bernadette is the lady that runs Aunt B's, and Bernadette's amazing. I absolutely love Bernadette, and they've been in
neat.
business like 30 years. And oh my gosh, just wonderful Southern cooking. So yeah, it'll
Mhm.
be a beautiful, wonderful buffet lunch that Aunt B's is catering, and they're gonna bring breakfast stuff in there, and oh, it'll be awesome. It's just gonna be fun, you know.
Then a cabinet with bottles of Blanton's, of course, right next
Oh
to
yeah,
that.
of course, yeah. No, that is for me afterward, okay? When the
Right.
conference closes,
Exactly.
then I open the cabinet. No.
Right. But
Actually,
yeah,
gosh, with all the flooding going on, I hope there's Blanton's available anymore. I mean, good heavens.
Oh
yeah.
man, yeah, I've
Buffalo
seen
Well,
that.
Trace is
Buffalo
underwater.
Trace
underwater.
is underwater. I know.
I know. I
It's
Yeah.
know.
awful, just
It really
awful.
is.
No, it's been a
We
mess.
actually the lady that is has been running our for the conference has been in charge of the book bags, and the conference bags. Everybody gets a bag when they get there, and we put stuff in it, and places donate stuff and all that, and she's been in charge of that. She lives in Frankfort downtown by the flood wall, so she's been evacuated. She has not been home.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty devastating. So
Well, hopefully it'll settle down here over the next couple of weeks, so that at least by the event time things will be a little easier for everyone in the area.
I
'Cause
hope
I know,
so.
but yeah,
Another
your new
thing.
location's great. I love the new location. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
great
Have you
place.
been out there?
Yes,
It's
yes, I sure have.
beautiful, isn't it? It really is.
It is. Mhm.
It really is. Yeah, so about the locations downtown, we have another thing Bluegrass Writers Coalition does is we run an annual short story contest. It's called Kentucky Visions Short Story Contest. And the award ceremony takes place at the Capitol Rotunda, and it's scheduled for next Wednesday, a week from today. And of course, I will
Nice.
be there, and I kind of introduce it. And then Lindy Casebeer, who is the
Mhm.
secretary for the Cabinet of Humanities, Travel, and the Arts. And he will be there, and he introduces everybody, and he actually hands out the awards. It's a big deal. It really is. And they contacted me yesterday and said, "Well, it looks like we may be closed." And I'm like, "No, no,
Oh,
I'm
no.
joking.
Oh
I know."
no.
But today I contacted the lady at the Capitol Rotunda and said, "Okay, do we need to try to find another place? Do we put it off? What's going on?"
Mhm.
She said, "Nope, they were wrong. We're opening back for business tomorrow.
Oh,
So
good.
we'll be fine."
Oh,
Nice.
good.
So yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, and
Yes.
it's a really cool contest, by the way. If we have any short story writers out there, we run it every year. So you should
Oh,
check
neat.
out bluegrasswriterscoalition.com. First prize
Mhm.
is oh gosh, what $300. And no, it isn't. It's oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
A
I've
trip to
lost it.
Belize? Is it
It
a
is
trip
a
to
trip to
Belize?
Belize. It's actually $500.
Oh,
And
say, Stephen, you better
yeah,
get
Nice.
to writing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Short fiction only, and then
Yeah.
and a trophy that is really cool. And second place is $250, and third place is $100. And then we had, there's 5 judges. This year's judges, we had some awesome judges. We had Richard Taylor, who is a Kentucky
Yes.
Poet Laureate, and he's also a
Yeah.
member of BWC.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he was one.
Great.
And Deborah Eisen, who is a
Mhm.
multi-published author, and she's actually the BWC treasurer.
Mhm.
And then we had Paul Stansberry, who is
Yes, Paul.
Paul
Oh,
has
yeah.
Great.
Paul is awesome, and he has over 100 short stories published. I mean, he
Yeah.
knows short stories, and he's
Yeah.
an editor, so
Oh,
he's
yeah.
good. And then we had Steve Vest, who is the editor of Kentucky Monthly magazine,
Right.
and we had Virginia Underwood, who is the senior editor and publisher at Shaylin House Modern Press in Lexington. So those were our 5 judges this year, and we had about 80 entries. It's a really cool contest. It really is. So any
Yeah.
short story people out there, short story writers out there, check out BWC. It'll open again. We run it annually, so it will open again for submissions probably the beginning of November.
Yeah,
So
all your judges are fantastic. I love them all,
oh,
and Steve,
they're
I love.
amazing.
Yeah, I got to sit in on Steve Vest's workshop last year at the Conference of Writers, and he is so good.
Isn't he?
Any time spent with Steve Vest, as I say, is time well invested.
Oh, ouch, ouch. I bet
Yeah.
he said that, right?
No,
Stephen
no,
always tells him that.
I always tell him that. I always tell him that. He cracks up usually.
I
But
get to
It's like,
they're great.
I'm actually getting to hang out with 3 of those, Steve Vest and Richard Taylor and Paul Stansberry, and and Chris Helvey, who is the past president of BWC. We are
Mhm.
doing, I don't know if you're aware of it, but Lawrenceburg has their annual Spring Fling Art Festival, and Bluegrass Writers Coalition has a booth there. It's this
oh,
Saturday. So yeah,
oh,
Nice.
I get to go hang out with those guys.
cool.
Ooh, that's
All
gonna
day
be
on Saturday. Yeah, downtown
that's
Lawrenceburg. Apparently, I've
that's
never been to it, but apparently
I haven't either.
it's a big deal. So yeah,
they
I'm
are.
Huh.
excited
Yeah.
about it.
Those small town Kentucky outdoor events are just off the charts usually. They are great, when it's an outdoor event and it's something like that. Those are always good. And Lawrenceburg is a
Yeah,
great town to be in.
Yeah, it's neat. A lot of
Yeah, of course.
history.
Yeah,
yeah,
not far from let's see, who's there? Four Roses and
yeah,
Wild
yeah.
Turkey are
Yes,
both there.
exactly.
Those
4 roses of
stories.
wild turkey.
Some of Stephen's favorite beverages.
Yeah,
Oh, honestly, on the Bourbon Trail, both
yeah,
of those are really cool,
they are.
tours. They really
Mhm.
are. When I have people come, I take them there. My favorite, of course, is Buffalo Trace,
Yeah.
and it's not technically on the Bourbon Trail. I asked them once, "Why are you not on the Bourbon Trail?" And they said, "Because if we did that, we'd have to charge for our tours, and they're free."
Huh.
But
That's
what I
wild.
love about Buffalo Trace is the history. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of what only 2 that was licensed to continue to operate as a distillery during Prohibition, and it's right here in Central Kentucky, right in Frankfort. I
Was
love it.
Woodford Reserve the other? Because I know that Woodford Reserve goes way back too, and I
I'm
can't
not
remember if
sure what
they were.
the other I'm not
Yeah,
sure
because
what the other one
they're
was.
right there in just past
Uh-huh.
Versailles.
Yeah.
And so they're
Yeah.
not far from where we live actually, but that's another good one. I love the architecture at Four Roses though.
Oh
That's
gosh, yes, that
the
Spanish
architect,
style
yeah,
architecture.
Spanish
Yeah.
style architecture.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. But yeah, I mean, well, you're gonna have some serious literary firepower with on Saturday.
I
that's
know, it's
that's
gonna,
quite a
and
group.
they're all fun guys. I mean, they're all
Oh,
fun
they are.
people. Yeah. We were
Yeah.
supposed to have a couple of other of our authors there, and I'm really disappointed that Ann Gabbard can't be there because not only is she a friend, but she's from Lawrenceburg, but she had a thing that a conflict that happened at the last minute, personal
Right.
conflict, timing with something. And so she's not gonna be able to be there. So it's just me and the guys, it looks like.
Oh, you'll have a blast.
Oh, I
Especially
will.
with that crew. Especially
Yeah,
that crew.
yeah,
Oh man, yeah, because I've come to love so many of the people there, and like Paul for sure, and everybody.
oh
I mean, they're
yeah,
just great folks. And
yeah,
make sure, yeah, just
yeah.
make sure you use some of my puns with Steve Vest if you
Oh,
see him.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
no kidding.
Use he is such a character. But yeah, well, the coalition. I also want to definitely give a shout out to the Bluegrass Writers Coalition because it is a group that is open for people to join. So I'd love for you to tell writers that aren't members yet about what you do and and how you can become a part of it, support it, etc.
Well, it's it started out several years ago as just a bunch of or a small group of writers getting together once a month to just sit. That they actually met at Panera Bread and just sit down and talk about writing, talk about what they're doing and what their goals are, and it. When I moved back to, I'm originally from Kentucky, and then I moved back to Kentucky several years ago, and somebody invited me to it, and I feel kind of bad because I tended to I went and I'm like, gosh, we could do this and we could do this and we could do this, and where it used to be I think 6 or 8 people, it's now over 80. So it's grown a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's basically we are a nonprofit um, organization, and our goal is to support Kentucky authors and support literacy and
Mhm.
promote literacy and literature in Kentucky. And so we meet once a month in person in Frankfort, but not our members are all over the state, and so not everybody's able to come to the in-person meetings, but we do meet
Right.
at the library downtown in Frankfort, which by the way is flooded, so we're meeting via Zoom tomorrow. But we meet and we talk about what the organization has going on. Things like our biggest event of the year, of course, is the conference, which is coming up. So that takes a lot of time right about
Oh
this
yeah.
time of the year. We will have a farmers market booth at the Frankfurt Farmers Market this summer at several different times of the year. So we get involved in book festivals, and we even have a book festival of our own in association with Frankfurt's candlelight service, which is the kickoff to the
Mhm.
Christmas season downtown. So we provide our published members the opportunity to participate in multi-author events that we sponsor, or that we like the spring fling that's going on
Mhm.
Saturday. BWC will we reserved the booth and all that, and just opened it up to anybody who is a member who has published books that wants to come play with us. And
Mhm.
so we do things like that throughout the year. We've done Shelbyville has one called the Trims and Whims Festival. That was a lot of fun last year. But we do things like that. We sponsor not only the conference but also the short story contest.
Mhm.
We're in the process of perhaps launching, um, similar to Kentucky Vision short story contest, something in the school systems in Kentucky for students. So
Oh, that'd be fun.
yeah, I think it really would be. And so
Yeah,
we've gotten
we'd like to do that. That'd be
we've
fun.
gotten well, and you guys recently joined. The here's
We
the
Mhm.
did.
thing.
We
You did.
did.
Yes, you did,
We
Holly.
did.
Offic-
Yeah, we did. We
officially.
newbies. We newbies.
You knew.
Officially, yes.
But the thing about BWC is I'm the president, and we have officers, and we have a board of directors. We're currently expanding our board of directors so that they can be a little bit more involved, and we can have they can have I don't know, we want a wider organization of and input and support at a leadership level. Um, so it's not just me and a handful of people doing everything, but so we're expanding that. But like I said, we have over 80 members, and the only requirement for membership is that you join our email group. That's it.
Mhm.
We have no membership fees. We're here to support anybody who wants to write. Seriously,
Mhm.
support and
Easy. Yep.
motivate, and provide opportunities to learn. At the conference, we also do, like at the end of June, for our members, we've got a Zoom session that we have a man that runs Jones House Creative, which is a website development and social media development company that is focused on authors. They did
Mhm.
our BWC website. They also, by the way, have done my virginiasmith.org website. They've done I don't know how many dozens, maybe hundreds of author websites. They focus on authors. And we're going to do a Zoom session. And Matt Jones, who is the creator and the head of Jones House Creative, is going to talk to us about online marketing your books. And, stuff like that.
Nice.
So we
Yeah.
provide opportunities for anybody that wants to write, that wants to learn more about publishing, about, whatever your writing goals are. We don't charge any fees. Because we are a nonprofit, once a year we have what we call like a fundraising or whatever, but basically it's a fund drive. So it's like, okay, if you want to donate, your donation is tax deductible, and we're not even going to tell you how much to donate. If you feel led to donate $5 to the organization, great. If you feel led to donate 100, great. Whatever you feel like, and you don't have to do anything. So I mean, really, it's just, we're not about the money. We're about providing opportunities for writers.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's such a great group. So, and you've mentioned so many of the people that are part of it, just in the last few minutes. And
Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
got a good idea the kind of caliber and kind of awesome folks that are in it. And but it's great, and I love the email list. It's kind of cool because it's like there's always somebody that's something good is happening. It's very positive. There's always somebody that's getting something has happened. They've gotten a book published, or they've won an
Yeah,
award, and it's just it's a real in today's world. It's nice to have an email list that's filled with positivity. It's
yeah,
a good thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's such a good thing, but highly recommend it. But now now we've talked about Bluegrass Writers Coalition, we've talked about Conference of Writers, everything. But I'm gonna put the spotlight on you, because you had something happen that I know writers everywhere always dream of happening, and that is the fact that your book Guilty Secrets became a feature length film on the Lifetime channel under the title The Lies We Bury. So, and it's streaming there, and people can check it out now. But yeah, the experience of because this is the first time you've been on the show since that
Yeah.
took place. Um, Tell us about what it feels like to have a feature film of your book on a large channel like the Lifetime channel.
Yeah, and how that
What is
worked
that
out.
like? Yeah, how's it
Oh my,
feel? Yeah.
it was amazing. It was so thrilling. The way it came about, it was just kind of surreal, to be honest. The book was I have done several books for a book club publisher. And so the way that works is, the publisher basically says, we're going to do a series of 12 books, and they contract with authors to write different books in the series, and each book stands alone, but it's kind of like being hired to write an episode of Friends. So everything stands alone, but it's recurring characters and so on. So I've done, gosh, I don't know, uh 15 or so books with this book club publisher. And
Mhm.
they had done a series that was called Sweet Intrigue. So it's cozy mysteries, but with suspense. So romantic suspense, basically. And I turned it in, and the book came out, and everybody liked it, and so on and so forth. But I'd done, and frankly, it was like, oh wow, I love this series, and I would write a bunch in this series. I wrote 3 of them, and let's do more. And then they shut that series down and went on to something else. Well,
Mhm.
that came out, I think it was in gosh, 2000 or 20 2022. I think it was in 22. Anyway, so last May, I get, well, let me back up a minute. I When I was married before, this is 2 years ago, I was married to my late husband, who got really, really sick. And he, at the end of his life, I knew that he wasn't going to be around much longer. And so I started turning down contracts. And I turned down. I basically told my agent to tell all the publishers, I'm not going to write anymore. I got to focus on life. And then he passed away. And then last May, it had been over a year, and I get a request to meet with the publisher, and for in a Zoom session for the publisher of this series. And I thought, yeah, they're going to try to talk me into writing for them again, and I'm just not ready. And by then, it had been a year, and I had met Brad, and, I was like, okay, life might be starting again, but I'm just not ready to do that. So I sit down to the Zoom session, totally ready to say, no, I'm not going to write, and I'm not going to take another contract. And she says, well, we just wanted to let you know that your book has been made into a movie and filming starts next week. And I almost fell out of my chair. I had no clue at
Surprise.
all. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, I mean, after picking my jaw up off the floor, which book? I don't know. I've written 15 for you guys. And so she tells me which one it is, which I absolutely love. And as soon as she said it, I could see exactly why, they chose that book. But the publisher had done all of the approaching to the
Oh, wow.
producers and everything. Of course I was, kind of out of things, and it said, I don't want to have anything to do with this. So she handled all of that and then tells me, okay, filming starts next week. And I said, so where is it being filmed? Because the book was set in Cincinnati. And she said, oh, it's on location. And I went, oh, I can go. And she said, no, you can't. The producer does not want the author on set.
Oh,
And I'm like,
no.
what? No way. And
That
she says,
happens.
no.
Yeah.
I said, really? I will sit there and not say anything. I promise. She said, no, the producer is adamant, And so, we talked about it because I had not been involved. I'm like, well, is it because they changed so much? They're afraid I'm going to be upset? Or she said, no, actually, she had worked with the writers. And so she had seen the script, and she said it translated really well. I mean, really well. So
Yeah.
no, I
So
think
they
it could
didn't
be
have to
good.
change a lot. I think
Yeah.
some of them are just really scared. Directors are really scared because they're worried. Oh
That
my
the
gosh, we're
author's
going to
going to go,
upset the author. The
yeah,
author's going to,
yep.
tell us off or whatever. But it,
Well, so
it's a catch-22, right? Because
well,
you
yeah,
want to be there,
I wanted
and
so badly to be there, but
I'd
they,
imagine.
I wouldn't. And then, I mean, they kept saying that I didn't even know where it was going to be shown. At one point, they were in negotiations with Hulu. And so it was like, okay, it might be on Hulu in the fall. But you can't tell anybody. She kept saying, you can't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody
Right.
yet until it's ready to come out. And so they didn't tell me anything. And so I found out, it came out, I think it was January 23rd or
Yeah.
21st or
It was
something like that of this year.
late
And
January. Yeah.
I found out like a week before. What? That it was streaming
Yeah.
on Lifetime. And so what do you do? I mean, I didn't have time even to like do a launch party or anything. I wanted to do a big old watch party. But so Brad and I, one night, the night it came out, we got popcorn and we sat in my living room, and we watched it. And I got to tell you, the credits roll up. Of course, they had changed the title, which the title of
Right.
the book was Guilty Secrets,
Right.
and the title of the movie is The Lies We Bury, which I love. I think it's so compelling. I was all jazzed about that. So and by the way, the publisher released a new version. I mean, it's the same story, but a new cover, a new version of the book.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Tie-in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tie-in. Yeah.
yeah, and tie-in. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, so all this really cool stuff's going. So they start the movie, and we're watching the credits roll, and sometimes on all the credits and the based on a novel by it's I was expecting it to be really, really small. Oh my gosh, it was like big on the screen. We
Good.
paused it, and I ran up there to the screen, took a picture of it. It's based on the novel by Virginia Smith. It was so cool. And then
That's
we
awesome.
watched the movie, and the other cool thing about in the movie is twice in the movie my book appears as a prop.
That's
It was
awesome.
like
Yeah.
That I
we would
know when
pause
you
it and
said
go,
that's so cool. That
it
is
is
so
so
cool.
cool. Yeah. So again, we'd pause it and I'd run up and take a picture. But then, okay, so I'll just be honest with you guys. As it's developing, I'm going, wait a minute. No, no, they left out this. And no,
Uh-huh.
wait, hold
Yep.
it. They can't do that.
Uh-huh.
Wait, no. And then at the
Uh-huh.
ending, I'm like, what? They did that? You you've got, of course, I'm going, my arms are waving everywhere. I'm going up, and Brad stops the video, turns off the television, and turns around and he says, I kind of see why they didn't want you on the set.
Yeah.
But, and of course I loved it. I love seeing my story, I mean, the people, and I loved the whole thing, but naturally I'm going to have a different vision of what
Sure.
it should look like.
Well, yeah.
And
sure.
I got on one. I'm in, an online group with some multi-published authors, and so I, a private group, and I got on there and I posted a rant and said, okay, so they didn't let me know this, and they didn't do this, and they left out this and all this, and has anybody else had this happen to them? And I got many replies back from other authors who have had their books, made into movies, and they're like, yep, that's it. Yep, that's exactly happened.
Yep.
That's what happened. But somebody said something that really made sense to me. When I'm writing the book, it's alive in my mind, and I am working so hard to take this vision that is in my head and put it onto the page. When a director takes that a script, he's doing the same thing. He is reading that, and then he's got a vision in his head, and it's his job or her job to put that vision, to create it in his media, which is, the screen and the actors and the set. But he's relating his vision, and his vision doesn't necessarily match mine, and that's okay. That's his vision. And well, actually, that this director was a her, so it's her vision of what the story is, and that's all right. That's the way it should be, So it's their creative license. So after I looked at it from that perspective, it's just really cool. I mean, it's just really cool to watch it,
Did you reach out after the movie was released and to the director or producer? And if so, then what was the interaction like? Did you ever get to talk to them?
I never did. I actually looked up the director's. The director was the producer, by the way. The executive producer was the director.
Okay.
I looked up the contact information. And I don't know. It's funny. I never did contact him. What I really wanted to do is I wanted to offer to send an autographed copy of the book or whatever, and just thank her. And I don't know, something stopped me. I never have. I mean, and you got to also remember, this thing was filmed last May and it came out this past January. She's probably done 4 or 5 different things since then.
Yeah.
So it's probably part of her past. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad to see it, though. They gave you the good respect, though, as the author, with the nice big credit and then showing the actual book in the film.
Yeah.
And touches like that. I mean, that at least shows that, they definitely had a healthy respect for you, which I think in some adaptations I've seen, it's not so much with others. So I'm glad they did show that to you. I mean,
they did. And I don't want to give the impression that I didn't like the show. Because I had my own idea of the story. And also, Stephen, Holly, when you're writing a book, you've got so many little subplots. And to me, a well-written book is one that ties all those subplots together. And, well, in a movie, you got, less than 2 hours because you got to have room for commercials and all that stuff. You don't have room for all of those subplots.
No. And that's why, people say, well, my gosh, the book was so much better. Well, of course the book's better.
Of course it was.
Yeah, you had so much more information.
That's right. That's right. So, for leaving out some of the minor, the subplots, the smaller things, I mean, they followed the main plot really well. Really well.
Right.
I mean, and they did have one little subplot that I was really kind of thrilled with in the book. They did include that. I don't know that it came off as well tied in together in the movie as it did in my mind in the book anyway. But but I could see that element meant something to the producer as well, or the writers anyway, the
Mhm.
writers. Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
yeah. So no, it
Yeah.
was absolute. I mean, I I have to laugh about all of my expectations and the way it actually worked out. But honestly, in
Yeah.
general, I was thrilled with
Oh,
it, and
oh,
I'm
don't
Oh yeah.
very
don't feel bad,
proud.
but believe me,
Yeah.
your readers are far more hardcore about that sort of. Believe me, readers are far more hardcore when they watch a
Yeah.
movie by a favorite author. Yeah, they yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
they want
You
it all.
better
Yeah.
believe it. Oh man, you better believe it. It's same way with the show, like they do the new Interview of the Vampire. I'm like, what the hell is
Yeah.
going on? When they
Yeah.
first come out with the new series, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at it as um it's a loosely adaptation. It's
Yeah.
loosely based. They're not going exactly like the
Mhm.
Yeah.
books. It's
Well,
loosely based, but
well,
then once you get through that, you're okay.
and classic example, Game of Thrones. I mean,
Mhm.
Yes,
Game of Thrones diverted so much, because
yes,
characters developed, and
Oh
right.
yeah.
the writers of the show developed, like Arya's character, and in ways that Martin never did. He,
Mhm.
his characters went a different way, but it took on a life of his own, and
Yes.
I loved it. It's not the same as the book, but I
Mhm.
loved the show. So that's all right.
I did until season 8. I have big issues with that last season, but
Oh,
other than
really?
that,
Yeah.
yes. The
Oh, that
first
was awful.
the first 7 I absolutely loved, but yeah, that last because the books were near and dear to me. So I
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm cool that I like with Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm that was my foundation as a reader and writer, and
Yeah.
so you give the filmmakers the once you get to this license to like you said, there's a different medium. They don't have they can't fit everything in, and but sometimes things do go off track a little too much. I
Yeah.
did I did think that season 8, oh my god, yeah, things did not end the way I was thinking they might
But
have.
in their defense, Martin still has
Yeah,
not finished that series, doggone
no,
it. Come
no,
on,
yeah,
He
that's
is taking his sweet
Wait
time.
time, that's exactly right.
yeah, that's true. That's so true.
Not
But
getting in any
but
hurry.
but I can't wait to for your next adaptation, and hopefully at some point you get to work with a production team that'll let you kind of work close with them. Like we recently had PC Cast from the House of
Yeah.
Night series was a guest
Uh,
2 weeks ago, our episode 2 weeks ago, and you'd probably find it very interesting because she is in. They're getting ready to shoot this summer, and
Yeah.
they
She'll be on set.
yeah,
They
she'll be on
want
set.
her on set, and she
uh,
works with the
Yeah,
screenwriters.
they
So,
want her. They
yeah,
actually
that's gonna
want
be
her
cool.
on set. Yeah,
Yeah.
to
well,
work with the screenwriter. Yeah, so hopefully you'll
another
get that kind of situation in the future.
another local author that I've that's a friend of mine, Angela Carell, who lives in Stanford, and she has had 3 of her books that were adapted to the stage, and one of them has been adapted to film. It's not. I don't think it's out yet, but they actually contacted her and let her work with the writer, and so
Cool. Yeah.
she's telling me that after I'm sitting here going, what? Wait, what? So,
Right. Right.
but yeah, I'm excited to see hers when it comes out, because she got to be involved in it. So yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
and I do also have to commend you on you as I would call it from the recording and record world, the platinum club, because you crossed the million mark on sales on your books worldwide. That's
Ah,
awesome.
thank you. Thank you.
You-
That's, and it's really funny because I had to dig. I knew I was getting close, but as I said, I've written several books for book club. I mean, these are direct to consumer, so they don't go
Mhm.
through Amazon. You don't get them on what, some of them you can, but especially this one, the publisher of that series and that book. And so when I knew from the sales that I see, I was really, really close, up in the, over 900,000 copies. And so I contacted her and I said, can you tell me how many, copies I've sold, because it's, it's direct to consumer. I don't have any visibility. And she said, well, we don't give those numbers out book by book. And I said, well, can you give me like a ballpark? Because here's what I'm trying to do. I'm over 900,000. I want to know whether or not, I want to celebrate when I hit the million sales mark.
Right, the million mark, yeah.
And she came back and said, well, I can't give you actual numbers, but you can definitely celebrate and some. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's sweet. Oh, I'm glad they at least
Yes,
gave you that.
exactly. Exactly.
But that is
The
fantastic.
many aspects of publishing and all the different things that are out there and ways to get our stories out there. It really is amazing, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's a crazy world. But the last time you were met with us on the show, you were, starting to get that itch to start doing more writing projects again. I wanted to find out what's been going on with you on the creative front lately.
Ah,
Got anything
um,
percolating?
yeah, okay, I've got a couple of projects that I'm working on. One of them is a rom-com about a young woman who gets stranded in a small town in Wyoming over the 4th of July weekend. And she runs into a hunky guy. Of course, it's a rom-com, so there's got to be a hunky guy in this thing. And she's kind of attracted to him. And then she discovers that he's the ex-fiance that she convinced her coworker to drop to
Oh,
break off the arrangement, and he doesn't know it was her that did it. And so so there's a lot of potential for comedy, and obviously we know it's going to have a heartwarming ending because that's what it does. Yeah. So I'm working on that one right now, and I'm having fun with that. But I'm also, it's funny. I'm researching at this point a project that is totally different from anything I've ever written before. It's a split time novel, and the modern day element is a woman who reconnects with her estranged grandmother, and she discovers the story behind a guardian angel pendant that her grandmother had given her years before when she was a child. And so, that's taking place in the modern day, but the historical part that we're gonna uncover the origins of the pendant, which is a guardian angel, that takes place in Budapest during the German occupation in World War II,
Oh,
when
wow.
the grandmother was a 4-year-old Jewish girl that was sent into hiding in the cellar of a Catholic nun who was hiding children in her cellar. And that's based on a true story. So,
Wow.
yeah, I've written one split time novel in the past, and that was the historical element was the Underground Railroad, and I love doing that. But this one is, I don't know, it's like one of those stories that is growing in me that it's like I'm compelled to write this story. And so actually Brad and I right now are planning a trip to Budapest later this year so I can do some feet on the
Nice.
ground research. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
it's going to be
That.
powerful. I think it's going
Oh,
to be powerful.
you probably end up having Holly stow away with you because she's been itching to get to
Yes.
Eastern Europe. So,
Oh,
Yes.
really? Really?
so
Yes.
you make it
I
a
want to
stowaway.
go before I leave the earth. I want to go to Eastern Europe.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll go and I'll be the scout. I'll scout out
I
all
will
the good.
live vicariously through you.
I will post on
Yeah.
Facebook. It's funny,
Well,
this
you
story.
launched your book in Ireland last year, so you know how to pick
Yeah, so I
spots.
got to see that. I've always wanted to kiss that stone, and so yeah, I was like, that's so cool. You got to see all that.
It was really, really cool. Actually, that's my next book that comes out. I have a book coming out in May, and it is the third in the Irish mystery series.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, and so this let's see, it's been almost a year, because the end of June, 1st of July, I went to Ireland and went to Blarney Castle and
The
launched
Shield.
Yeah.
the first book in the series. So yeah, Yeah, it was a
Are you
lot
gonna
of fun.
return? Are you gonna return to the Emerald Isle to celebrate this one too?
Honestly, I'm not sure I can swing 2 international
Yeah,
trips at the
yeah,
same time, and World Fantasy Convention is this year is in England, it's in
yes,
Brighton, and so I'm
yep.
trying to figure out how I can do Budapest and World Fantasy and Ireland at the same trip, but here's the problem. Brad, my husband, he still works, and so he's got this,
Yeah,
job
Oh,
thing that's
yeah.
stopping him from being able to like take
to
off and spend
go
a
and
month
do all this
overseas.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So,
You
but
said you're
he's
gonna
going to
need
go to
a
Budapest with me. So,
you gotta put out a T-shirt, like a concert T-shirt with like all your world tour stops on it, like
Yeah,
there
no
you go.
kidding.
the
There you
Ginny
go.
World Tour. But
When
that's
it
neat.
went,
Budapest. Wow, that's gonna. I mean, that is old
Oh
history
man,
right there.
I
I mean,
know.
I can't wait to see the pictures.
I'm really excited
yeah,
about it. Honestly, the story, like I said, it is based on a true story, and
yeah,
I actually uh, several years ago, a woman told me this story about her grandmother, and she has the pendant, the guardian angel pendant that her grandmother got when her mother dropped her off to hide in the nun's cellar.
mm,
And she told me the story, and it's like one of those gripping things that you just cannot get rid of. But I'll be honest, over the years, I've wanted to write this story, but I've just felt like I couldn't do it justice. I mean, it's going to be powerful, it's going to be impactful, and I write cozy mysteries, so
right.
I don't know. I have really struggled over the years with, gosh, I want to write this story, but I'm not sure I can do it and do it well.
Mm,
But so actually, I have signed up. This different for me. In June, I am going to a week-long intensive fiction workshop at Colgate University, the Colgate
yeah.
Writers.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm going up there. I just got accepted to that, and that's the story I'm going to workshop. So
Nice.
I don't know. I may be
Yeah.
changing my whole writing style. You never know.
Well,
Who
it's
knows?
great. No, it's great to try different things as a writer. I mean, you never stop growing. So, I mean, it's good that you're, branching out into some things that you haven't done before. I think
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
now that I've made the commitment to it, I'm really kind of excited about it. I really am. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be different, and I think I'm gonna enjoy doing it. Whether or not it'll be any good, we shall see. You know.
Like
It
one
will
day,
be.
when I
It
finally
will be.
get around to writing my Amish science fiction steampunk novel, that'll be
Oh, there you go. There you
that'll be
go.
the that's
Have you read there is a book, it started out as a joke. The author is named Carrie Neitz,
mhm.
Nietz, and, he kept saying back when the Amish and bonnet fiction got big, he said, "I'm gonna write Amish vampires in space." He
Yes,
actually did. He
you
did.
did
He
it.
wrote Amish vampires
Oh,
in
Oh
space.
my God, Stephen,
that's
there you
awesome.
go.
There you go. There's my inspiration. That's what I needed.
Uh,
That is great.
That's
Well, keep us
fun.
posted on that.
I
That's gonna be
will, I will.
awesome, and, the photo well, I know how following you on social media, I mean, it's great. You always give us great photos of everything
Yes,
on your
Of
adventures.
chickens, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
chickens and that one little chicken that likes to hide eggs.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Oh, yes. Trixie.
Now have you named your barn kitty? That's a question I wanted to know. Has
Absolutely.
has
My barn kitty's name is Kit Kat.
Kit Kat, alright.
Yeah.
Oh,
After my favorite or one of my favorite candy bars, right?
Mine too. Mine
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
that's
I gotta tell you, here's an Irish story that's sort of writing related. When I came back, when I was in Ireland, the last time, I'm telling you, Stephen and Holly, Irish chocolate tastes better. There is
oh, I
mhm,
guarantee you.
Oh
it's
my
great.
gosh, it
Mhm,
tastes so much better. And I got a Kit Kat bar in Ireland, and I mean, I just it was awesome. So I bought a bunch of them, and I brought them back here, and I sat Brad and my grandson down, and I blindfolded them, and I fed them. Okay, here's one, and here is
mhm.
two. Which one is better? They can tell, the difference
Yeah.
between
Oh, yeah.
U.S. Kit
Wow.
Kats and Irish Kit Kats.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I
It's huge.
noticed. I got to go over there with my mother and sister back in 2010, before my mother passed, and when we were there, I mean, yeah, it was one of the things that struck me was how good, many things better, certain versions of things were there than over here,
The
and it just
chocolate, it's
that was one of
the
them. That
chocolate
was
is better.
definitely one of them.
In
Yeah.
Lexington, downtown Lexington, there's an Irish shop, Falsha. Are you
Hmm.
familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So when I went to
Hmm.
Ireland the first time, which was what 2 years ago, I guess, um, the owner of Falsha is an Irish lady named Lisa, and she runs a tour to Ireland every year. And so I went with her on the tour group, and she's the one that introduced me to the Irish chocolate. But she carries Irish chocolate in her shop in Falsha in downtown Lexington. I'm telling you, she says she can't keep it in. She gets it in, and it's like word spreads and it sells out. So you need to go
Hmm.
down there next time she has it and
Yes.
stock up. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a good reason for Holly and I to get out of the house when we're
There you
not
go.
bogged with all of our list of a million tasks here. That'd be
Oh
a good
man,
reason for
When
that.
Holly's
never is.
able to get away from where are you, Indiana?
I'm
Yeah,
home
yeah.
now.
You're
I've
Oh,
been
home
good.
gone
now. Yeah,
6 days. I just
yeah.
drove home today. So
Oh, good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm wore out. Yeah, my mom has these honey-do lists. How long, because she's there by herself, and my brothers have passed, and my dad has passed, and so I told her, I said, "You better be glad I'm half man, or you be screwballed right now, because I forever have to fix this or fix that, and have to get the tools out." And yeah, I said, "You better be glad I know how to do all this.
How fun.
Oh,
I'm
that's funny.
quite handy, thank God."
Yeah,
I come in handy for Steve because that's not his forte. He's a
Oh,
writer.
yes, sir.
He's not a
Yes, sir.
handyman.
Yeah, my dad never, trained me well in some of the things that Holly knows.
Hey, I taught you stuff. I taught you stuff.
You have, you have. Yeah, I've learned a lot in the 9 plus years
I
with
tell
the
you what,
Holly era.
my daughter is like you, Holly. She can do anything. She
Mhm.
can she changes out will fix a toilet, changes out the inside
Mhm.
of toilet.
I did that. I did that a couple weeks ago. I actually
Okay.
installed a new toilet. I sure did.
I said, "How did you learn to do all this stuff? Because I can't do it, and I certainly didn't raise you that way." And she says, "Mom, you can Google anything." It's
Yes.
Well,
true.
that's true, but I learned because I lived out in the middle of nowhere and raised my children. I lived in an Amish community. All my
Oh,
neighbors were Amish, so I learned a lot of like carpentry stuff and
oh,
fixing
great.
stuff from them. And then, when you live out in the middle of nowhere, you've got to fix your own stuff. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of options, and if you do, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. So
Yeah,
you
that
learn
makes
to fix your own things. So and my husbands were not handymen, so I had to teach myself.
there you go. Good.
But now there's YouTube. Man, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I can fix that. I'll just YouTube it. I can change a blade on a lawnmower. I can work on vehicles. I'll just YouTube it.
There you go. There you go.
It's true. Yeah, the YouTube is great for that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but so okay, so May we've got a new release, third book in your
Yes.
in your Irish series coming up.
Great. Yeah.
What else is on the map for you before we go on to another question I have?
That one is book number 54.
Hmm.
Nice.
No, is it? No, it's 53. And then I have the Hobby Farm book that will be coming out sometime later in the year. And then that's the number 54. And then well, actually, no, I wrote that one, but it's going to come out later. Book number 54 is coming out in June from Guidepost Books. And that is a book in a series that is set. Okay, this is during my period where I said, no, I'm not going to write anymore. I'm going to take a break.
Uh-huh.
I'm not,
Yeah.
got my Guidepost editor contacted me and said, so are you ready to write something? And I said, no, I'm not going to. I'm just not ready yet. I don't know what I want to do. And she said, well, we have one that I think you might be interested in. We want to write a series about a chef from California, a California chef who quits her job and moves back to her hometown in small town Kentucky to open a restaurant. And I went,
Right.
"Oh, you rat! That's me!" She's like, "Oh no!" So the series is called "The Mysteries of Blackberry Valley," and Blackberry Valley is
Yeah.
basically it is Glasgow, Kentucky. And so I wrote that one, and that's the last one I've written. So I say that's book number 55, but it's actually coming out before the previous one. So that'll
Gotcha.
be out sometime in June. So Mysteries
Perfect.
of Blackberry Valley. And that, that one's, it's fun. I mean, it's called the key question. And the
Mhm.
main character gets a key in the mail with this cryptic little poem that doesn't make any sense,
Mhm.
and she has to solve the mystery, and by
Very cool.
figuring out what the poem means, yeah, and what the key goes to. So
Well,
yeah,
that'll be just in time for July and seeing you in July with that one. Perfect timing.
yeah, yes,
All right.
absolutely, that'll be good.
Which brings me to before we wrap up the show, and I do want to mention that you are going to be doing a couple of workshops with us in July. And is there anything you would like to comment about the workshops?
I'm really excited about these because Holly's going to let me do. She asked me, okay, what are the two that you would really like to do? And she agreed with me. So there you go. I'm going to do one that I absolutely love. It's called How to Write Funny. And
Hmm.
and, and so it's just a fun workshop where we are going to dissect the structure of literary jokes. And of course, whenever when you run the risk when you do something like that, because dissecting a joke is kind of like dissecting a frog. When you finish with it,
Hmm.
it doesn't look like a frog anymore. You know what I mean? So dissecting, dissecting his joke is kind of like that. When you have to explain it, it's not funny
Right.
anymore. But uh,
Right.
we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to run that
Hmm.
risk because we're going to look at a lot of literary jokes, and we're going to do a lot of laughing, and then we're going to learn how to pull them apart and how to effectively put humor into
Put them
pretty
in
much
Awesome.
any genre.
Mhm.
Yeah.
any
So
genre. That's what I said. Any genre.
any genre.
You can
Yeah.
yeah, have some humor.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Especially, I mean, even especially sometimes, and that's one thing we'll talk about is, sometimes books are just, you write them to be funny. Sometimes
Right.
you use humor to, defuse a situation, or, there's different reasons to put humor into different genres of books. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a really good workshop. And then I'm
Mhm.
going to do another session that I actually have taught this at other conferences in the past. I call it Stories That Sparkle, and basically it's self-editing techniques. So what to
Mhm.
look for when you edit your own work, and how to identify weaknesses in your own work, and how to basically shine up your stories till they sparkle.
Nice. And speaking as an editor, thank you, because I appreciate it when you help writers deliver cleaner copy. That is always a great thing
Yes.
for us editors. So yeah, you're doing us
Yes.
a great
Absolutely.
service. A great
Yeah.
service.
Good.
But
Good. Yeah.
but yeah, thank you so much. And well, yeah, because I know we've gone maybe a few minutes over, but the world of Virginia Smith is just vast and has so much cool
So
stuff.
fast. Yeah, I mean, my
Ah,
gosh, where do you go?
But
yeah, I go to bed and fall asleep at night like exhausted because I'm a workaholic. Yeah, kind of
I
like you
think
guys. You're not
Yes,
fooling me. I know.
but we've
it's
touched on
the
I
truth.
think most things, but I do want to make sure that we've covered anything that you've wanted to cover tonight. So, is there anything else that we may not have brought up that you would like to mention before we wrap up here?
um, No, no, I think we've talked about a whole lot of it. I just, at this
Yeah.
point, the focal point, other than writing, what actually writing is taking a little bit of a backseat to this conference of writers,
Oh,
which
oh
is
yes.
coming up April 26th. So go to, if anybody wants to come, bluegrasswriterscoalition.com. And right
Hmm.
there on the homepage, there's a link to check out what we're doing at that conference. There's still time to sign up and time to even sign up for a private session with the amazing Steven Zimmer.
Yes. A- April 26th, folks, and it's going to be a great Saturday, and looking forward to it. Fourth annual Conference of Writers, and I hope, yeah, like I said, I hope you go way past that goal on the attendance this year, and I'll be looking forward to both Holly and myself be looking forward to being there with you.
Great,
Absolutely.
great.
Yes, we do. And one more thing before we go. What is Virginia Smith reading right now?
Oh my god. Well, whenever I'm working on a book, I don't read because I get so into fiction, it lives in my head, and if I read somebody else's fiction, then it totally messes me up. But I will
Yep.
tell you that I listen. Well, okay. I'm not really sure that I should say it because I'm not sure I would recommend this. But my husband and I went to, as I said, Columbus, Indiana yesterday. And on the way home, we listened to an audiobook that was really kind of interesting. It's called The Exception to the Rule. And
Uh-huh.
like I said, I'm not sure I would recommend it. It does, it got a little, just a little bit raunchy, little some
Okay.
of the little sexual
Mm.
innuendos, not even innuendos, it just a little bit of sexual raunchiness toward the end of it. But I was fascinated by the way this audiobook was done because it is a female narrator and a male narrator, and the whole book is emails where they email each other back and forth. It's
Wow,
just nothing but
that's
emails,
cool.
and it
Yeah.
Okay.
starts out when one of them's 14 and one of them's 16, and they don't know who each other is.
Mm.
They only email each other on Valentine's Day every year, and it
Mhm.
goes all the way up until they're, like in grad school together, and then
Mhm.
we got home, and I didn't listen to the end of it yet. So, but it does.
Oh, well,
It is a little bit, it gets a little bit raunchy. I mean, there's I'm not a prude. I really am not. I don't write, erotica or anything like that. I feel like I probably could, but I don't. It's just
Mhm.
something. It's not something that appeals to me.
right,
But there's a line that crosses, that's like the ick factor is a little bit too much, and this one was
right.
Mhm.
right at the ick factor, my ick factor
Mhm.
level, right when we stopped. So, but again, I was really impressed, and in fact, several times I stopped the book to tell Brad I'm impressed with how the author has brought us along, doing nothing but reading emails back and forth to each other. I was
Yeah,
really impressed
that's
by
impressive. Yeah.
it. Was I was impressed by the approach. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's
Very
the
cool.
only thing I've listened to. That's the only thing I've read recently because I'm trying to finish this rom com.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to that, because you've definitely
Yes.
been generous tonight with your visit
Oh
on the
gosh, I've
show.
loved it. Are you
A lot,
kidding? I
but
love talking to you guys.
lot to talk about for sure, and hope to
Yeah.
see you very soon. But I'll turn it over to Holly. But thank you so much for being with us tonight, and of course, you're always welcome back, and just love to have you aboard, and looking forward to seeing you this summer,
Oh,
and
thank
your
you
Hall of
so much.
and your Hall of Famer this
I'm
summer
so
too.
excited about that.
That's
I'm very
right.
excited about that. Yay, yay. Thank you. Thank you all
Well,
for having
Holly,
me.
You're welcome. Always. We will see you here in just a few weeks. But thank you for joining us tonight. And yeah, like Steven said, come back anytime.
Thank
You have a great evening and what's left of it. And yeah, have fun with the chickens in the morning. But yes, to all of our listeners out there, please join us next Wednesday evening, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Another great guest, another great chat. Rest of the week, be creative. Good night, all.